channel. I am alive. I am still doing YouTube videos. Just been an insane last month. We're 2 weeks until the wedding. Oh my gosh. So I've been obviously prioritizing things and putting my time and energy into getting ready for this wedding and keeping on top of work, my own personal goals. And so some things had to be put on hold for a little bit, but I am back now with a video, hence the title, Carb Cycling. So I mentioned carb cycling on my Instagram stories like a week or so ago, and all of you were like, video on carb cycling. What is carb cycling? Can you explain it a little bit more? So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity since I have been doing carb cycling. Maybe it's something that you guys can do. Maybe it'll really benefit you. I forgot about carb cycling, honestly. I did it a long time ago. For my own self, I started carb cycling and boom, my body just started making like a lot of progress. I also started putting a lot of my current clients on carb cycling and they love it. We started seeing more progress with my own clients as well. So it's a little like explanation on carb cycling, what to do, how to set up your own thing. And hopefully if you guys apply this carb cycling method to your own routine, you will see the same amount of success that I did. You can probably get an idea of what carb cycling is. You basically are cycling, alternating and kind of manipulating your carb intake daily. You can approach this in so many different ways. You can approach it daily, weekly, monthly. It kind of depends on you, your preference, and how you want to do it. Personally, I liked the daily approach because it was high carb one day, moderate carb the next, low carb the third day. Then you go back up high carb. Now my protein stays the same the whole time, but my fat does change as my carbs change. So basically, I'm still intaking the same amount of calories per se, even though I'm manipulating my carb and my fat intake, but I'm still getting the same amount of calories. So obviously, high carb day, I am doing low fat. Then I go to moderate carbs, I do moderate fat. Then I go to low carbs, I do higher fat. So basically the idea is this is gonna help shock your body and also to kind of manipulate when your carb, your energy source. Carbs, they are an energy source because your body converts and breaks down a carb into glucose, which gets stored in your muscle fibers, in your fat tissues as glycogen, which when your body goes into exercise or even just walking to your car, you are tapping into these glycogen stores for energy. Now, having the proper amount of carbs, of glucose, is gonna help prevent muscle breakdown. So getting the proper amount of carbs, energy source, either that be from carbs or from fat. Now this is where you kind of get into pick your high carb days on probably your most intense day, which a lot of us might be leg day. And so I typically do high carb day on my leg days. And then my moderate's kind of more like upper body, full body workout. And then low carb tends to be on more like my cardio stretching days. I didn't need as much glycogen. I didn't need as much energy on those days. Now this is gonna vary from person to person. Some of you might want to do a couple high carb days, go longer periods with a high carb day before you start to go to moderate into low. So again, this is where you're just gonna have to play around and see what works for you. It's about experimenting and playing around with numbers, not getting stuck on one thing and thinking that's the only way to do it and that's the only numbers you should be intaking. The best way to start is calculating out your macros. So you can go to my website. I do have a macro calculator right there. So you start there. So let's say, for example, you went in and you put in all your information and you came up with this carb number. So you come up with this fat number as well. You start from there. You start with that number. The way I made the adjustment is I stuck within 10 to 15 grams when I changed my carb number. So say you start with 150. So your moderate day maybe will be 140. And then your low carb day might be 130. So let's say you follow this number for a couple weeks, but you're finding you were still way too hungry on your high carb days and starving, like feeling sick to your stomach, starving on your low carb days, even with those adjustments. So you might want to increase a little bit. So let's say you go up to 160 grams, then you go to 150 for your moderate, then you go to 140 for your low. Here's where I'm really pushing you guys to experiment, okay? Don't get stuck on one number because that number might not be for you. Don't get stuck on that number. Now, I know from my own experience, I'm already in a deficit, but I didn't want to go any lower. So that's why I went into carb cycling, because I still want to get the adequate amount of energy. I don't want to start compromising my metabolism or even my health by going way too low, especially with the type of training that I do. I wanted to stay at that calorie intake, but just by manipulating my carb and my fat daily like that, my body was thinking that I was going into an even more deficit, but then boom, I came back up with more carbs again. I think it's a great way to kind of push you past that. Maybe you're stuck at a plateau, maybe you decrease way too much. You don't know where to go at this point. Your body's not doing anything. And I think it's a great thing before you even go even more in a deficit, a calorie deficit, that trying that manipulation with your carb and your fat intake. So you want to counterbalance always with those two. Protein can stay, it doesn't have to move. When you guys are setting up your day, your carb cycling day, you gotta plan and prep the night before, or prep out your week. You know, take a couple hours out of the day and you're prepping all this food, especially carbs, proteins, you know, your veggies, all of that stuff, doing it and being able to be ready to prep meals for the next 2 or 3 days. That's gonna help you stay on track. Some people like to prep and plan the night before. You kind of have to base it off of you, the way you process things, the way you work, your routine, and obviously with your schedule. If you're a mom, if you have a busy work schedule or you're in school, so you have to kind of work around that. Planning and prepping is gonna be the keys to success, you guys. So you can't just expect you're gonna make all this progress and meet your success when you don't even plan or prep for it. I know for my own self, I usually will pick 1 or 2 carbs, proteins, or one, it just depends. And then I prep all of it in one night, spend a couple hours. Then I have pre-prep food to make multiple meals for the next couple days. Tracking is going to help keep you on track. You can either write it down and be like, hey, high carb day, this is what I'm eating. You actually have to plan it out. You actually have to measure things and know what it is, then write it out. So you kind of follow that plan for maybe, a week or 2. Or you can use, there's several apps out there that you can use that can actually track food. I know I am coming out with a new app. I know I've mentioned this before, and so we're into the final stages. We're gonna be filming and all of that. So I will be having an even better meal, nutrition planning, and workout. Everything all in one app that's going to be releasing in January. So you guys will have to be patient on that. That's what's gonna be the keys to your success, you guys, and that's what's gonna help you stay on track and stay committed and stay consistent. That's the key here, consistency and commitment to the plan. If you aren't consistent, and if you get off track, you're not gonna go anywhere. You're just gonna kind of be going on this little hamster wheel. So you gotta be consistent. So that's why it's important to plan and prep and have these things all written down, have them all typed out, have them in your phone, have something that keeps you accountable, that keeps you on track if you're not hiring a coach. So let's refresh our memories a little bit. How you wanna start this carb cycling is 1, you wanna calculate out your macros according to your intended goal. So that could be bulking, that could be maintaining, or that could be fat loss. Now, once you calculate those out, it'll give you that number. It'll give you your carbs, it'll give you protein, and it'll give you your fat. So that is your starting point. Now you have to decide, do you want to do it daily? Or do you want to do it every couple days? Or do you want to do it weekly? And when I say weekly, that means 1 week is all high carb. 2nd week could be moderate carb. The 3rd week could be all low carb. Or you could do it monthly. 1 month is all high carb for a month. Then the next month is moderate carb. Then the next month is low carb. So you decide if you want to do daily, weekly, or monthly. Once you decide day, week, or month, then you're going to go for there, and then you're going to take your carbs, you're going to take your fat, you're not going to worry about protein, you're going to take carbs and fats, and you're going to decide 10 or 15 gram decrease, increase. Let's say you chose 10 grams, starting with that carb number. Your next moderate day should be a 10 gram decrease. You want to do 10 gram increase with your fat. Then you're going to your low carb. So you do another 10 grams decrease on your carbs, another 10 grams increase on your fat. So you can see how this is working? So after you've completed your low carb, then you go back up to high carb again. And then once you've kind of played around, kind of adjusted to it a little bit, your body's adjusted to it a little bit, you can pick what day you want your high carb on, what day you want your moderate carb on, and what day you want your low carb on. So you want to adjust that to whatever type of training you're doing. So remember, no one way is the only way. So you're gonna have to modify this and adjust it and fit it to your needs, your training needs specifically. Now you can continue this as long as you want, as long as you see progress. This is where you want to make an adjustment to your macros again. You want to match your calorie intake to your calorie expenditure. So if you are training 6-7 days a week and you're training for an hour and a half, you want to make sure that you're intaking properly according to that. Now that's where calculating your macros according to your exercise level, that's where it comes into play, okay? Now if you're only training 3 or 4 days, again, that's where calculating out your macros according to that is going to come into play. So you never want to just like be overtraining and not eating enough, because then no matter what you do, it's not going to work for you. So if a lot of you guys are thinking of cutting more calories, stop! Don't do it! Maybe try carb cycling first, because it gives you a little bit more freedom to maybe have, more fat on one day and then less carbs on one day, and then vice versa. So it kind of gives a little bit more flexibility and funness to nutrition versus just staying with this one number and that's all you do, because it might get old. But having that to where one day you're like, yes, I get more fat. Yes, and then the other day you're like, yes, I get more carbs again. So it kind of makes it fun, and mentally it helps you to not get burnt out. At the same time, your body too. Your body's not gonna get burnt out. Your body's not gonna plateau. Brought the carb cycling back. I absolutely love it. And it's worked really well for me right now, especially getting ready for the wedding and the honeymoon. Bikini time. Now, I'm not saying you have to do carb cycling. You can do whatever you want. But maybe me explaining it to you, maybe you want to try something new. You want to try it out, try it out. I think, experimenting and trying things, that's the best way to learn about yourself, what you like, what you don't like, and what works and what won't work. Okay, so experiment, try new things. Don't be stuck in one way, because you know what? Carb cycling might be for you. Your body might love carb cycling, and maybe not. Maybe you need to go do something different. You never know. Hopefully this video kind of broke down the whole carb cycling thing and kind of explained it, and you guys have a little bit understanding on how it works and what to do. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'm glad to be back here. We are almost to the wedding and almost done. So yes, I will be back to regular filming again. I will be back on YouTube. No, I'm not leaving YouTube. And I will be coming back with all the fitness stuff and all of the good stuff that you guys love so much. I will be back with that. So thank you so much for being patient. And thank you so much to those of you who have stuck in while I've been a little MIA. I really, really appreciate you guys and your patience. So, mwah, air hugs. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share, and hopefully I'll have one more video before the wedding. If not, this girl will be getting married and she's off to her honeymoon. And I'll probably see you guys after that. But yes, I will be vlogging. Thank you guys so much. Mwah.